What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. I'm here in my garage to answer some questions about voiceover and also to go over a very important topic, like always. Today's topic is, can you record voiceovers if you don't have a recording studio? Now, when I talk about recording studio, I'm talking about a professional recording studio where you have the engineer, you have all the sound panels up everywhere, you have the glass, you have all the mixer boards. Do you need one of those to do voiceovers? Because I know a lot of us are working from home, or we have our own apartments, or we have family, we have kids running around, and it might not be ideal to record voiceovers. So let's talk about some different scenarios and how we can deal with that. My first answer to the main question is no, you don't need a professional recording booth. You can actually record using the things you have at home if you know exactly where to create your booth and what to use. So let's start with the first scenario. The first scenario is you have your own apartment. This is a very common one. I used to have my own apartment. I've changed apartments and I've been able to make a booth in each one. Basically, if you have your own apartment and you live by yourself, that's an ideal scenario because you're not going to have people running around. It's just you. You can put things up where you want. You can take things down and you can make it nice and treated. So what I usually do is I go to a carpeted room. Carpeted rooms work great because the carpet absorbs reflections of your sound and your voice. So that's the first place I go. The next thing you want to do is you want to cover up the giant space on your walls, that big empty space. You want to cover that up with sound panels or moving blankets. Basically, you have to cover them up so that it absorbs the reflections from your voice and so that you don't get background noise. So that's the first thing you want to do is you want to find a nice quiet room with carpet, most preferably, then cover up the walls with sound panels or moving blankets. A lot of people like to work in their closet. This is an excellent place as well because the closet has clothes hanging up and clothes also help with reducing reflections. You want to minimize those reflections. But it might not work for some of you because you have a lot of clothes and it's really messy and it's just not doable, which I understand. In that case, use your bedroom. I say anything between the size of a closet, a small closet, to about a 10 by 10 bedroom is fine. That's going to be a great size to work with. Anything between that small and that large is going to be great. But you don't want anything larger than your bedroom, like a living room, because you're going to have to put up even more sound panels. You're going to have to put up a lot more things to kill those reflections, and it's also going to it's too big, so it's going to texture your voice a little bit. You might get some echo, you might get some reflections. It's going to be more tough to work with. It's going to be more difficult to kill reflections the bigger space you have. So try to stick with closet size to bedroom size. That's the first thing. Now, if you have your own house, that's another great scenario because you can put things up, take them down. It's actually better than an apartment because it's your house and you don't have to move out, so the landlord isn't going to fine you for sticking sound panels on their walls. So it's actually an even better scenario. So same thing applies is you have to find your room that is furthest from traffic and is carpeted, and same thing, just hang up sound panels and make sure that there's no reflections. Now let's talk about the more tricky stuff. What if you live out of an RV? Or what if you have family and kids and they're running around and making a lot of noise? So if you have an RV, it's definitely possible, but it might be a little tricky if you're close to traffic. Mics are really sensitive, so if there's traffic and you live right by a street, you're going to need to record when there's less traffic. So that could be early morning, that could be late at night. And you still have to put up sound panels on your walls to kill those reflections. Now, what about if you have family? What if you have kids? People making noise? I think that if it's someone like your significant other, just talk to them, tell them that that you need about an hour or so to make your recordings. They will understand. They will leave you alone, hopefully. But just some simple communication goes a long way, and oftentimes they'll go out, do shopping, do whatever they need to do in another room, work that out between you guys. Now it gets trickier when you have kids. Kids are energetic, kids make noise, kids run around, they stomp around, and if the younger they are, the harder it's going to be to communicate that with them. But if they're older, it's going to be easier. They'll be able to play games, they'll be able to be in another room and entertain themselves. But if they're really young, it's going to be tough. So you're going to have to do it when they're asleep. You're going to have to do it when it's late at night or early morning. It's just, you have to find a time when it's absolutely dead quiet. That's so important because mics are just so sensitive. Now, worst case scenario, you can record out of your car. I've done this on multiple occasions. It's definitely possible. You know, don't let anything, don't let excuses get in the way of doing what you love. Don't let any excuses get in the way of doing your passion, because there's always an answer for everything. I've done it in my car multiple times. Cars are treated on the inside so they're not reflective. You just can't be next to a busy street, of course. It's got to be either in your garage or on a secluded road. Hopefully not a dangerous secluded road, but that's the main idea. You can do it. That's what I'm saying, is it can be done. You don't need a fancy recording studio. You just need a treated booth, and you can find affordable equipment to treat your booth. Let me go ahead and start up this Q&A. I'm going to look at the questions now, see what kind of questions you guys have for me, and we will answer those one by one. Thank you guys for joining me here today. Hope everybody's having a great day. All right. The first question we have is from Top Tier Jacksonator. Aces on the toy voiceover gig. How'd you land that? Oh yes, I posted a gig that I got yesterday. It was a toy gig. They're manufacturing these really cool toys. They follow your hand. There's a dinosaur. There's like a unicorn. There's different animals. And basically they came to me, so I have my demo online. They found me and presented me with that opportunity, and I didn't have to do any negotiating or anything. I'm already established online, so when people find me, they book me and I do the work. So that's how I landed that, and that is very possible to get to that point. You just have to establish your reputation, establish a customer base, have a really solid demo. You will get there as well, where people just come to you and ask you to do work for them. Next question from Top Tier Jacksonator is, how about a bathroom? That's another great question. Honestly, bathrooms are one of the worst areas in your house to do voiceovers. It's really reflective, and I can't think of anywhere comfortable other than sitting on your toilet to record that, because it's kind of small, and there's just a lot of stuff in there. You got your sink, you got your shower curtains. It's super reflective inside of bathrooms. You know, that's why you hear people singing all the time in the showers, because showers give you reverb. They give your voice a lot of reverb. And reverb is a tool that singers use to give them more of a bigger feel in their music, that reverb. And so reverb is an enemy of voiceover. We don't want reverb, any reverb in voiceover, because it's not a song and it's distracting and it sounds like background noise. It only sounds good in music. So that, I wouldn't recommend a bathroom. If you absolutely had to use a bathroom, you could make it work. You would just need a lot of material. I would say a lot of blankets. You could put up the moving blanket sound panels, but it's a bathroom. People got to use it. So it's not going to be convenient for them to be stepping on moving blankets and having these sound panels around. It'd be kind of interesting. So there's too many people coming in and out. Places where people come in and out all the time, I don't recommend transforming into a studio, a recording studio. It's got to be somewhere secluded, a little more private, like a closet, like your closet, your bedroom. Living room could work as well, if it's not too big and if you don't have very many people living with you. So you got to keep that in mind. Chance, hello, what's up? My man, United Nomad, how do you do recordings when you travel? I do a lot of traveling. I go to Airbnbs, I stay in Airbnbs, and it's something that I've gotten used to. And it's basically a very simple recipe is I use what I have. I use the blankets, I use the pillows, I even use the mattress sometimes, and I follow the same principles. I find the quietest room or quietest area in the Airbnb, and then I start constructing the booth. And sometimes I'll use chairs, sometimes I'll use whatever I have. Each Airbnb is different, but I've always been able to pull through because I know exactly where to put things, and I have a process that I follow to do that. And you can learn more about that in my course. I go through several examples, and I even show you the Airbnbs from start to finish, how I construct my booth inside of them, so that you can do that as well in your scenario, whether that's at home, an apartment, Airbnb, wherever. You can create a booth in multiple scenarios. You're not limited by your imagination. You're only limited by your imagination. Let's see if we have any more questions. Thank you guys for joining in here. All right. Is it better to sit or stand while recording? By Clark Kent. That's a great question, Clark. Let me see if I can put that up. Is it better to sit or stand? It's better to stand for a couple reasons. Well, they both have their perks, but formally it's better to stand because you're able to use your body, you're able to express yourself more freely, and you're not confined to a chair where you're kind of stuck somewhat. So there's that. Your lungs open up a little more, you're able to breathe more properly, and it's just better for your health overall. That's why they say you should always take a standing break. You should always stand up every couple hours if you're always sitting, because sitting is technically unhealthy in the long run. But on the flip side, sitting, in my opinion, is more comfortable, especially if it's a long time. You might get tired. I've done both. Most of the time I'll sit just because I feel like I've gotten to that point where I can still modulate my voice even while sitting. But if you really want the best and you want what's best for your health, stand. It is a personal preference though, and both are perfectly fine. Both will work, especially if you have the talent. So practice with both. Experiment and see what you feel more comfortable with, and see if it affects your voice quality. So that was a good question. Thanks, Clark. Let's see. Chance asks, do you have any voiceover classes available? Currently, I have my voiceover mastery program, which is called Voiceover Freedom. It is start to finish how to get into doing voiceovers, getting paid to record voiceovers from home. That's called Voiceover Freedom. You can check that out by clicking on the link in my bio or going to voiceoverfreedom.com. You definitely should hop on now because it's at a great price, and it might be getting more expensive over time as it becomes more popular. So if you're going to hop on now, and I will be adding classes to that eventually. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be really exciting. So yeah, just stay tuned. There's some cool stuff coming up. Daniel says, how does Voiceover Freedom work? And good evening. Good evening to you. Voiceover Freedom is the blueprint for getting into voiceovers from home. This is what you need to know, the best websites, how to succeed, how to use your gear, how to act, what you need to do to make it as a voiceover artist from home with your own gear, your own studio, your own editing, your own engineering. This is teaching you everything you need to know to make this something viable, for making this dream of yours, for making your dream come true. And it's really awesome stuff. There's a free training that I have in my bio. It's 20 minutes long, takes you through 6 of my biggest secrets that have taken me years to learn so that you can get started right away. Check that out, link in the bio. I'm telling you guys, yeah, check it. You're gonna learn a lot in that video. What else do we have? Next question. What tea is good for acting? That's a good question. I don't drink too much tea very often, but tea overall is good for you because it's mostly water, and that's the secret ingredient, water, which is going to keep you hydrated. The very best thing you can have is water. I know it's so simple, but it's really true. It keeps you hydrated. Without water, your tongue, your mouth starts to get sticky and starts to form more saliva. You notice on those really hot days where you haven't drunken anything and you have a lot of saliva, right? It feels really dry and you have just all this saliva. That is going to turn into mouth clicks if you're on the mic. So you want to prevent that by staying hydrated, and the key time is about an hour before you hop on the mic. So remember that before you start recording in your next session. Drink a glass of water an hour before, because that's how much time it needs to actually get down in your system and clear things up. So water, tea is fine as well, but water is the key ingredient. Great question. Let's see what else we got. Do you need to join a union for voice acting? No, you absolutely do not have to. You can be a freelancer and do voice acting. That's what I've done. I've never joined a union. I have no interest in joining a union. I run my own business, work with my clients directly and through voiceover websites online. You don't need a union. You don't even need an agent. I don't have an interest in finding an agent. You don't need it. If there's companies, brands, businesses that will find you. They hear your stuff. They will pay you. They will. You might have to sign NDA contracts depending on how big the company is or how or who you're working with. That's about it. That's all you have to do. You won't need to. You don't need an agent. You don't need those things. You can if you'd like, but you don't need to do that. Great question. Let's see. What is better, recording with or without a home studio? What do you mean by that? With or without a home studio? Are you saying a formal home studio that you built with sound panels? I think that's what you're saying. If you ask me, it's better to have a formal built home studio with sound panels and everything, because it's more permanent and it looks better. It looks more professional when you have the right gear, the sound panels and everything. But it's already set up. It's permanent. You just go to your mic, you record, and you're done. That's going to be the best scenario. But not everybody is at that point yet. And too many people don't get started because they say, oh, well, I don't have the recording studio. I don't have this. I don't have that. And they never get started. And that's why I'm saying you don't need that. You can start off with what you have at home. You can start even with just the sound panels or moving blankets, which are found at storage facilities. Like, you can do this with what you have, even if you have to use blankets or pillows to get started today. Do it. You can do that, and you will get to that point where you create your own booth with the panels, with the acoustic treatment. You'll get there eventually, but it doesn't have to be that way today. So great question. Let's see if we have anything else. Do you need a speech coach for voice acting? I absolutely recommend coaches. I do recommend that for voice acting. I did some theater, a lot of theater when I was growing up. I was coached in extracurricular programs like speech. I did speech. Stayed after school for speech practice. So any type of help that you can get. I was in drama. Read my little brother and sister storybooks, and did the cartoon voices. So any sort of practice that you can get, especially coaching, is going to be so beneficial, because a coach can see the things that we can't. We can only hear so much, but they are going to be honest with you and give you the feedback that you need to hear to evolve and grow as a voiceover artist. So yes, I do recommend that. I will be doing coaching as well in the future. So stay tuned. I will make that announcement. So if that's something you want to do one-on-one, that would be awesome. I am happy to help. Stay tuned for that announcement. It is coming. It is coming. Lots of exciting plans. How does one become a voice actor? That's a really good question. There's a lot of things that you can do to become a voice actor. The main thing that I want you to know is that you don't need fancy stuff. You don't need a fancy voice. You don't need fancy gear to get started. If you want to learn more, check out the link in my bio. That's going to answer your question even better. It's my 6 secrets to getting started. It's going to blow your mind. The link is in my bio. Check it out. Top Tier Jackson. Yes, I mean with the sound panels. Is it better with or without? Yep, answered that. What else? What else? What else? We got another question here. Is Blue a good mic? Blue's great. Blue makes different mics. I love that company. Um, I would say what's more important is that it's a condenser mic, that it can record in a cardioid pattern, which is when a mic records from the front of it, because some mics are not cardioid, which means they're recording from the back, they're recording from the left and the right and the front, and you don't want that because it's going to pick up background noise from the left and the right and the back. But cardioid is only picking up from the front. So cardioid pattern. It can be a USB, XLR. Um, I think, from my experience, about $100 you want to invest. If you want a reliable, good quality mic, $100 or so. You can go with something cheaper, but from my experience, it's not worth it. You're gonna want to upgrade in a year or two anyway. So just spend the $100 now. You're gonna use it for everything. You can use it for Zoom calls, Skype, music, voiceovers, anything. If you start a podcast, like this is an investment. The mic is something that you will use long term. What else, guys? What's a good app to use to record your voiceovers? I'm guessing a phone app. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot. I don't record them on my phone. I don't use apps to record my voice unless it's like a small voice note. But I record all my stuff on the computer. But if you're just looking to practice on your phone, you can use the built-in one on your iPhone or your Android. There's a couple good ones in the App Store. Um, as far as I know, I'm not sure if they come with the tools you need, the editing tools to make it sound clear and professional. Some might, but the grand majority of the apps that I've seen just do the recording. You can maybe splice it, make it shorter or longer. I'm not sure if they have like any of the tools, but um, I would say use a computer if you're going to really want to dive into the tools and really start editing. But yeah, you can use any app. Just go into the App Store and type in voice recorder, look at the reviews, and try them out. Try out a couple different ones. Some people use an app on their computers, so that's why I ask. If you're on your computer, Audacity, that's a free one. GarageBand, that's a free one. I use FL Studio, that's a paid one, but they do have a free trial. And Adobe Audition. So those are probably the four top ones I recommend. And I do give some insight into that in the course as well. Any other questions, guys? Those are some really good questions. What else do we have? Looks like we're good on questions. Well, guys, I hope that this was helpful. I really enjoyed myself. I enjoy going live with everybody every Wednesday. We're going to do this again. So stay tuned. I'm posting some new content on the YouTube channel and, of course, here on the Instagram. And if you haven't checked out the link in my bio, check that out. That's voiceoverfreedom.com, where you're going to learn the top 6 secrets. Oh, well, what do you know? Yeah, the top 6 secrets. We're just going to keep the show must go on. The top 6 secrets to getting started in voiceovers. That was perfect because it makes for a dramatic exit. So yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Take care, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. There we go. It's one of those motion lights, so I gotta move. We do have another question. What do you do when you get rejected? It's just part of the game, my man. It's part of the game. Sometimes some websites you'll have to submit a lot of auditions for getting a job, and you will get rejected sometimes. It's just part of the game. It's nothing personal. Just keep moving on and just look at it as a success, because every rejection gets you closer to your next win. So it's all good. All right, guys. That's all the time we have for today. And take care, guys. Talk soon. Peace.